Chelsea against Bournemouth. The Blues face another team in poor form but cannot afford to drop points again, as Frank Lampard lifts the lid on Ruben Loftus-Cheek's recovery and urges his team to finally become more clinical and kill games off, while probably the biggest question is, who starts in midfield? Hello there guys, and welcome back to Blues Fans TV for another preview of mine, another Premier League preview of mine on this channel. As you know, Chelsea are about to take on the Cherries, are about to take on Bournemouth tomorrow afternoon, with the kickoff being at 3 PM UK time, of course, at Stamford Bridge. And I'm looking forward to the game. One thing I do want to mention this time at the start of the video, please be sure to press the notification bell button if you haven't done that already, especially if you're subscribed, and if you've not subscribed already, subscribe and press the notification bell button, because we have noticed that sometimes our videos just don't show up in people's sub boxes, people that have subscribed, and they just don't see our videos because of that. Like, it happened to our own personal accounts that, we're like, we've uploaded, so why is our video not in our own sub box when we've subscribed to the channel, obviously? So, that has been the case. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss any of your future videos, please be sure to just smash the bell notification button down below. That'd be massively appreciated. But now, enough waffling, and let's just get into the preview, of course, as always, by starting it off and speaking about our opposition. That, of course, is Bournemouth, and the Cherries currently do sit in 15th on 16 points from the 16 games played so far, coming from 4 wins, 4 draws and 8 defeats, alongside a goal difference of -6, scoring 18 and conceding 24, which is actually the same amount of goals conceded as ourselves, which isn't a great stat for us, but I guess it is what it is. Now, Bournemouth, to be fair, they've had some tough games as of late, but still their results just have been dreadful. Like, they've just been dreadful. 5 defeats on the bounce, even if that includes Spurs under Mourinho and Liverpool. It's still 5 defeats on the bounce. Before that, they did beat Man United, to be fair, but how much does that say, really? Because pretty much every poor team manages to get something out of the game against United. United are incredible against the top 6, but shocking against everyone else, really. Plus, 2 not exactly great draws against Norwich and Watford either, because those 2 are the 2 bottom, 2 teams in the league. So it's not like getting draws against them is particularly good for Bournemouth. Now, Bournemouth are still a team that like to have the ball and really play football, like they always have been since they got promoted, a few years ago into the Premier League. And, this season, the only thing that's a bit different, firstly, their start of the season hasn't been as good as it usually has been. But also, they've kind of struggled with their chance creation a bit, but also taking their chances when they have created them. That has been a bit of a problem for them throughout the majority of the season, really, a bit like with ourselves, I guess. But yeah, that has been a bit of a problem for them. For the most part, they have been using a 4-4-2 formation, actually. Although I guess it is more of a 4-4-1-1, if you will, rather than 2 out-and-out strikers partnering up front. It's more like one just ahead of the other, with a kind of a striker and a centre-forward behind him, if you want to talk in FIFA terms, I guess. And before getting into that danger men, I kind of have to mention the current injury concerns, because they do have up to 8 players that are a doubt or a doubt. That are out or a doubt. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, firstly, their second top goal scorer in Callum Wilson is out injured. Same goes for their right back Adam Smith, and also former Blue, as well as reportedly January transfer target for Chelsea, Nathan Ake. By the way, as I do mention Nathan Ake, I did make a video talking about all the latest transfer news surrounding Chelsea on my YouTube channel yesterday. I will put the link to that up there. I talked about the likelihood of Ake, Zaha, Sancho, Timo Werner, and many others as well that we have been linked with. I did talk about the likelihood of them joining Chelsea in January, but also the summer. So I think it's quite an interesting and good video. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys could check that out. Like I said, the link is up there, so click the I button. I will also put the link down in the description below. So if you want to check that video out and then subscribe, I would massively appreciate that. But now, just to finish off the injury news about Bournemouth, Josh King, one of the other biggest danger men, the Norwegian, not striker, but as of kind of second striker, if you will, or that centre forward behind the other striker, has been injured recently. But according to their manager, Eddie Howe is in contention for the game tomorrow. We'll just have to wait and see whether he starts or whether he, starts again from the bench or whatever. We'll just have to wait and see about that. But the remaining danger men, and they still have some, even though they have a lot of injuries, are of course, King, if he does play. And also top scorer Harry Wilson, I think pretty sure he's on loan from Liverpool. Of course, he was with Frank Lampard and at Derby last year. But he's our top goal scorer with 6 goals so far this season. And also Ryan Fraser on the other wing. They, I guess, their 2 main danger men at this point. And of course, add King into that, like I said, if he is fit to play. But they also do have another couple of dark horses in their squad that on their day can perform really, really well. But to be honest, that is really it about Bournemouth. They're a decent team, a good team, if you will. Just in bad form. But as we've learned from our defeats against West Ham and Everton, which I mentioned earlier already, that means absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing, so we cannot afford to underestimate them in the slightest. But of course, we are the clear favourites going into the game. And now getting into Mr. Frank Lampard's pre-match press conference ahead of the game tomorrow. And the first thing that he was asked about and spoke about is, of course, Fikayo Tomori signing a new 5-year contract yesterday. Of course, incredible news. Very happy about that. And also Lampard showed his happiness about the situation and about him signing a new contract as well. But also he praised the player. He praised the player a lot for his development at Derby and also this season. But also his performances, so far this season. Like he said, he's been very impressed with how he's handled playing in the Premier League so far because, with centre-backs especially, you're never sure how well they will take the step from going from the Championship to the Premier League. And he said he's taken that step really well. But Lampard did have to confirm at the end of the press conference that Tomori is still out injured for the game tomorrow and will miss the game, but hopes that he will train again next week and then possibly be fit for the game against Tottenham the Sunday after. But then also, Lampard had to come out with some more damning news at the very, very end, so literally the last thing he said of the press conference, that at the moment, it's looking like more than weeks until LOFTUS-CHEEK returns, which of course doesn't sound good. That means we're looking at months here, hoping that it's more like looking at 2 months rather than 3 months, because, weeks can be 3 weeks, so that would be pretty soon. And, months, just 2 months, if he comes back in February at some point, that would, be, I guess, pretty good. So let's hope it doesn't take much longer than that because we really, really do need him back. The boss then also said that there will be slightly more rotation in our midfield in the upcoming games and weeks, just to make sure fatigue doesn't start to have an effect on our performances, which is interesting. And we'll have to wait and see whether he starts with that tomorrow already. And then lastly, he was also asked about and spoke a lot about transfers, both on players coming in and players going out. But really, all that Lampard said was, what he said already, that yes, he wants improvements to the squad, especially in attacking areas. He didn't say that today, but, he said that previously. And also, that he won't talk to any players like Olivier Giroud, for example, about leaving before January actually arrives. Before that, he actually wants to just focus on the games that we have at hand right now and, think about players leaving and all of that at a later point. And also, he was asked about Pedro and Willian. Of course, both of their contracts are running out. He did say a couple of things about that, but nothing really interesting. Like just a standard manager talk. It's not really up to me and it's, up to the club. It just takes time. It's about playing time. It's about money. Blah, 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 blah. As it is. He didn't say anything particularly interesting or shocking about any of it, in all honesty. And that was really it about the press conference. And now get into Chelsea. And straight into it. Let's just get straight into the lineup that I personally would pick and that I also think that Frank Lampard will pick. Now, there's of course been a lot of debate about Kepa, but then he was pretty good in the last game. So, of course he has to start again. Antonio Rudiger and Kurt Zouma, in my opinion, have to be the centre-backs again. Rudiger came back against Lille, had a good performance, and thankfully the last game was on Tuesday, not on Wednesday, so he had a couple more days off to hopefully be fit enough to start again. Especially with Tomori not being fit, I think it has to be them two that start because I just don't want to see Christensen play, to be honest. I just don't. I'm sorry. I just don't. And then coming to the fullbacks, for me personally, it should be Reece James and Emerson Palmieri. I wouldn't have a big problem with Azpilicueta starting instead of either of them, but I want to see how well we cope organisation-wise without Azpi, but with Rudiger, because, if Azpi doesn't play, we do lose a big leader in that defence and a big organiser in that defence as well, but we do have Rudiger back. So I would like to see if that helps us, because sometimes without Azpi going forward, we were slightly better because Emerson and Reece James are just better in the attacking phase of the game, but we did lose a little bit of organisation and some of the stability defensively, so I would like to see whether that is then back, better with Rudiger in there, but we still have the more attacking threat from the fullback positions when Azpi doesn't start. Then coming to midfield, now for me, it has to be the same one that started in Lille, against Lille, sorry. Even if Lampard said that, there will be more rotation in midfield, I would still go with Jorginho, Kante and Mateo Kovacic. I mean, I just think this is our best midfield, and I really think that we, even though it is only Bournemouth, I think this is a big game for us because, we have dropped points against teams like Bournemouth recently, like I said, West Ham and Everton, and we can't afford to do that again. This is a big game, we want to finish in the top 4, and we can't afford to drop points in a game like that again. So we really need to, start our best midfield, in my opinion, and ideally for once we can, be comfortable and get a comfortable win, and ideally just kill, an opponent off. So that's why I would start with that midfield. I just think it's too big to start rotation in this game because we just really, really need the 3 points right now. I mean, if Mason Mount starts instead of either Kovacic or N'Golo Kante, wouldn't start him instead of Jorginho personally, I would be okay with that. But I would just prefer for him to come on after, say, an hour or so to possibly help kill the game off if we haven't done so already. And then coming to the front 3, I would just say them quickly in one go because it just has to be Pulisic on the left, Willian on the right, and Tammy Abraham up front. There's really not much of a debate to be had about any of those 3 positions, in my opinion. I mean, to be fair, Hudson-Odoi could possibly do with a start to re-find his form again that he had when he first came back from his injury. But since his hamstring injury, he has been poor. And, maybe he does need a start to find his form again. I wouldn't be totally shocked if Lampard gave that to him. But with how he has been performing and it's how his form has been, I just think that Pulisic and Willian offer us a bigger, better chance of like just being helpful in securing the 3 points tomorrow. Hence why I would just start those two. And of course, Tammy Abraham just has to start. Let's not even talk about Batshuayi starting. Batshuayi can come off the bench happily, like him from that position. And Giroud, just like I said, you know me. I don't even mention him. And as for the game in general, as much as our defense, or rather defensive errors, have been a major problem for us this season, I think the easiest way to fix that is just by being more clinical when taking our own chances, or when, having our own chances, I guess. Because if we go 2 or even especially 3-0 up quickly, whether that's, in the first half already, or just, 2-0 in the first half and then getting a third early in the second half, especially while we still have full control over the game, which we almost certainly will have for large parts, that takes major pressure off the defenders. And then that in turn decreases the likelihood of mistakes and therefore conceding goals, in my opinion. So I think that's kind of the easiest way to fix our defensive, frailties, the likelihood of us making defensive errors, because it's less so us being just poor defensively as a whole. For the most part, it's just individual errors. Sometimes individual errors by multiple defenders at a time, but it's less so, oh, we're just not organised enough, or this is wrong, or this is wrong. It's just like, here's a mistake, or here's us being silly, or here's us not paying attention. And I think if we're 2-3-0 up, while we're still in control, I think that just the chance of all of that happening decreases massively. Just at the start of the game, when it is still 0-0, we have to be careful, because a bit like the Everton game, when you go 1-0 down early on at the moment, especially against lesser teams, we just tend to struggle to get back into the game when they then start to sit back. Like, I still believe if Everton don't score that early goal, we probably get a result as good as it. Maybe it's not a win, and maybe it's just a draw, but still it's better than 0 points. So we just tend to struggle with that. I mean, we do still create enough when we're trailing a game and trailing, a lesser team. Less than when we're in the lead or level, but still we create enough. The problem of not being clinical enough just becomes even more of a big deal in that scenario when we're trailing. Like, because then, we miss one chance and then we get more frustrated, and we're kind of, hush our chances even more, so maybe shoot in the wrong spot and then don't shoot in the right spot. Like, we just have those problems that just build itself up when we're trailing, and then we don't take our chances. So I think a lot of that can be fixed quite easily by just taking our chances, and every problem is kind of solved with that. So overall, just be careful, be careful, especially early on. Be focused for the entire game, but most importantly, be on it. Like, just be completely on it. This is important, we can't underestimate another team here. A lot of movement, smart pressing, quick passing, good decision making in the final third for once will be good. Shoot when we should shoot, pass when we should pass, and essentially just take our chances. And if we do all of that, we will win. I absolutely guarantee that if we just take our chances, we will beat pretty much everyone, and especially Bournemouth. And my score prediction is actually going to be a 3-0 win. For once, I actually kind of have that feeling that we're going to be able to kill a game off and not concede a stupid goal. I hope I'm right. I hope I'm right with that score prediction. It would be lovely. It would be great to go into a week without a midweek game with a great result like that. It would be lovely. So I hope I'm right. But yeah, guys, to be honest, that has really been it from me. I do hope that you enjoyed this video. Really do hope so. Like I said in the beginning, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already to Blues Fans TV. Smash the notification bell button. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. That'd be massively appreciated as well, especially if you made it this far. Just go down below, smash that like button. It doesn't cost you any time, doesn't cost you any money especially. So please do that. That'd be massively appreciated. Like I hinted at earlier already, please make sure to check out the video on my channel about the latest transfer news. Subscribe over there if you haven't already. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea. Can't wait for the game tomorrow. And I'll see you when I see you.